What's up? What's up?
GM Tony.
Good morning.
Welcome to 9 o'clock live. Hello, CDT.
Hello.
Got some mushroom music queued up for us this morning.
I appreciate that.
This afternoon, rather. I'm sure it's morning for somebody.
The perfect combo of mushrooms and computers.
That's right.
GM, guys.
Mushrooms.
GM Ryan.
That's what we come for.
How we doing, man?
If you're just arriving here, please share the room. You can do that by hitting the bubble on the bottom right. It might be purple or white. Click the little bubble, retweet the room, quote tweet the room, whatever you want to do. And tell us your favorite thing about CDT. There's so many things to favor. Or you can post the thing that you hate the most about CDT so he can try to improve.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry. No.
Critical feedback wasn't in the script.
Shots fired early.
This is making me really want to play Mario Brothers, to be honest. Do you mind if we just take a break from the show? Go play some Mario?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Why are we playing Mario Brothers theme song on the way in? Well, that's because we had a beautiful mushroom noun minted yesterday, a dope mushroom, if you will. If you want to join us over on nounoclock.app, which you can click on the in the nest above, you can join us over there and see what's going on. You can see the noun. You can see that there's 12 minutes and 15 seconds left on the auction. This is the daily nouns auction for NounsDAO. You can see all of the bids that have come in since yesterday, starting with a very, 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 very low bid from autobidder.winter.eth for like one way or something, like very, very small amount. And then we had the pencil come in with a 0.1, and we're all the way up to 58.04 ETH right now with a bid from Patricio over at POAP. What do you think, Ben? We're going to get another bid here, or is this one going to go for 58?
Well, I mean, we've seen a few pretty low ones lately. I think that's a good deal, though. Oh, my God. I mean, anything under 60 at the moment seems pretty crazy to me. And,
I feel like if this one goes for 58, Dees isn't going to be happy after what he paid for his mushroom.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
the provenance matters, so that, you know, that when it came up is also important.
Yes, that is true. Have you guys seen, I think it's pronouns, the pronouns front end where it actually shows the different rarities and how many times everything has popped up? It's pretty cool. It's one of the ones that also won the Prop House round for front ends.
That front end is awesome, Tony. I love it.
Yeah. I should share my screen somehow, but you can't because it's Twitter Spaces. But yeah, I've got like all of the front ends all in one browser open, so I can just click between them all and check out whatever's happening on each one.
Why do I not find that surprising in the least, Ben, that you have all of the things open everywhere? That sounds about right.
He's not a robot.
No, that's right.
Speaking of front end, so I mentioned on the top of the show there, nounoclock.app. Anyone notice anything different about that when they went on there this morning?
Maybe a little bit of a chat box.
A little chatter, a little banter box. I think there might be.
Yeah, there is too. I needed to refresh. I thought it was only on the test one.
I thought so too, but no, it is live. So 142 and team just kicking out new features. We got Wallet Connect based chat. So currently I'm the only one who said anything, but if you want to talk to me,
I'm going to connect right now.
And this is completely separate.
Though, I'm not exactly sure how it's working because I said something earlier too. So I don't know that it's like I see Zargs and I see Robot Fish Girl, but I don't see my old stuff. So I'm not exactly sure how it works.
I think it's probably refresh. I'm seeing them all now. So
the other stuff was on the test net, I think.
That was the test net, Josh.
Come on, Josh. Pay attention.
Oh, my bad.
There's so much to pay attention to, though. It's nounish.
We are so excited to have
this is going to be fun.
We're so excited to have Nouns resident CDT with us this morning. It's almost hard to even figure out what to talk about first, CDT, because you're so prolific and you're so involved and you've got your finger in so many different pies. So what would you like to talk about first?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Probably first is Prop House. We just launched the big redesign. I mean, like what, 12 hours ago or something? Less than that? Sorry, more than that. Yesterday afternoon. So,
Yeah.
been the bulk of my work over these last, I would say maybe 3-4 months.
Sorry, that deserves some air horns because the new prop house design is pretty sick. What's your favorite thing about it? I have my answer, but you
Yeah,
go first.
yeah. So, I mean, besides the design itself, which props to Hab, which ironically we just had on the podcast, which just went live half an hour ago.
Yeah, let me pin that up there so people can grab
Yeah,
it.
he's a designer from Rainbow, and he's like stupid talented. And so, besides like overhauling, 90% of the site, there's still a couple pages to finish up. I think, uh, maybe in second place is just the overall structure, because now you'll see that we have houses and rounds. So before
Yeah.
there were, communities, and it was a little like Nouns Launchpad and Nouns Combinator. That's all gone. It's all under Nouns, right? So Nouns is the house, and you have rounds. We have these big rounds. You can call them the Combinator rounds, the Mandate rounds, but they're all within Nouns, right? So it's a little easier to understand kind of the houses or communities within them. But then besides that, I don't know if anyone has tried voting yet, but we have like this voting bar.
Yeah, I did
It's a
it this
lot
morning.
smoother. Yeah.
It was so efficient. One,
Yeah.
I liked that it was straight down the line, and then two,
Yep.
watching the votes to go up. I got 5 left. I've got 4 left. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll
because
see like
before
in
you
real
actually
time.
had to
Yeah.
do the math in your head, and I really hate math, so that annoyed me.
Yeah. So not only, does it like look better, I think is it a little clearer to see. You have, oh wait, I do know my answer. But there's a voting bar to show what you've allotted, and say you allot votes, like 10 votes out of your 100, and then you disconnect, you leave, and then you come back. It'll show you what you've previously allotted and what you have left, and what you're allotting in this new session. So there's like, 3 different bars technically that you could see, and so it's just a lot clearer experience. But what's really cool that only someone who submitted a prop can test. We don't have a screenshot of this, but say you submitted a prop and you go back to that round, we have a new card that shows on that right side that shows you your prop or props, because you could submit several within a round. It shows you your prop, what place you're in, if you're not winning, how many votes you need, to
that's
to
dope.
to
So it's like a
to
kind
get
of
to
like
the
a dashboard.
to usurp the lowest level person, or like to sneak into the bottom. If you're winning, it shows that hey, you're good, no need to do anything. Shows you you can go to your prop, and if you have 5 props you've submitted for one round, you can cycle through them. It's just kind of a builder focused way to check in during a round.
It would be hilarious and probably not possible because it'd be kind of rude, but you could have people in that same block that shows who hasn't voted. Like these blocks of voters haven't voted yet. Go harass them if you want to win.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, another hidden feature, if you go to the props, say it's the voting period or the ended period, you see the little vote icon, you can click it and it will like verify who voted for what with some like service, some not Etherscan, but something else. So,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
People had asked for like vote verification, so we added that.
And that's just to make sure no one's spoofing or doing anything weird, essentially.
Just transparency.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't ever submitted a prop, so these were builders who had asked for this.
Nice. I also love how it shows the voting in progress. Like if you go to round 11 right now for Launchpad, it shows that 555 votes have been cast so far. Yeah, so that's kind of cool, just as a running tally of the votes.
Yep. And if you go to Nouns, for instance, we've now split it up to filter via active and all.
Yeah.
So that means if you go to Nouns, you can see that, again, regardless of combinator, regardless of mandates, you can, you don't necessarily have to think of them that way anymore. within nouns, we have 3 active rounds. And an active just means it's either in the proposing stage or the voting stage. You know, say we announce we're going to launch a round next week. It hasn't started yet. That won't be there because it's not active, right? But you can always go to all rounds and see everything. And we added filtering, and you can search and, you know, better error messages and just fun little, you know, all the modals are like nounish now and have noun heads and icons, and it's just a lot cleaner. You know, the stats on the homepage are really fun, you know, kind of to get a gauge overall about, you know, how your prop house is doing. Say you were to fork the repo and make your own, you could see, you know, the total ETH funded, how many rounds you've done and whatnot. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed the FAQ, it got super fleshed out as well. Lots more questions, which I think Seneca did some crowdsourcing on that, which was cool.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, with that kind of thing, we want to answer, you know, what people want to know. So we got rid of the learn page, and the FAQ, you know, can kind of be the one-stop shop to learn / get your questions answered.
Very cool. I agree with your first point, by the way, just about the redesign too. It's just so fresh. I love the purple and just the clean look to it. Looks very nounish.
Yeah, and I mean, another cool thing that is in like the process of rolling out is, you know how whenever you shared a prop house link, you would see that pink, you know, kind of card. It's called like a social card or an open graph card.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same for all of them. So now it's dynamic, and it's kind of, you know, we launched yesterday and we're starting to see it kind of resolve. It takes a while, kind of like switching over, you know, a domain or something. But I saw it today in the Nouns Discord. So basically, if you share the homepage, it's a new card, right? But if you were to share a house, it will, you know, show, you know, the Nouns house, you know, picture. It'll show some stats about active rounds and you know, how much ETH they funded, etc. If you share a round, it'll show you the status of the round, the date that it ends, etc., etc. And if you share a proposal link, it'll show you like proposed by who and the name of it on social media, right? So you're not going to get a flurry of like pink cards on your timeline whenever there's a new round and people are asking for votes or whatever. You'll see specifically, you know, from the timeline of Discord or Twitter, wherever you're sharing, you'll see like that like rich dynamic data.
That's really cool because
Yeah.
I do the final threads usually after the state change, so after the houses are over, and typically we haven't been able to use the cards. I just kind of delete them because they just clog up the feed. But now that they're so feature rich or information rich, it might be interesting to actually use them as embeds on Twitter. We'll have to give that a try.
Yep. Because I mean, you can get a highlight whether you want to click into a prop or not, right? Because I mean, the prop URLs are like, you know, /19 or 112 or whatever the prop ID is. But now, if you were to have a thread, you'll have cards that show the title and the proposer, or, you know, the address of the proposer. So you can click into whatever you want.
That's very cool. Well, it does look like we're going to go to FOMO. I don't see any pending bids coming in here. We've got the auction still sitting at 58.04 ETH. Patricio trying to get a noun on the cheap. And 41 seconds left, no pending bids. It's looking likely that we're going to go to FOMO Nouns. So, CDT, if you don't mind joining us over on fomonouns.wtf, let's just go mint a noun real quick, and then we'll come right back.
And when we say real quick, let's get longer than one block today, maybe. Unless it's an amazing noun.
Yeah, not that quick.
Yeah, yesterday we minted this one in one block, CDT.
This one, actually,
It really was us, too. That was impressive, honestly.
Am I missing something? Is there no wallet connect anymore?
No.
Did I miss that update?
Yeah, they got rid of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think NG said they'd take it off because it was confusing people for the time being.
It's attempting
I like
to
this
settle
one.
already.
Okay, something's going on here.
Something's wrong.
This is the second day in a row.
I get it.
Nice
it's being attacked.
We have 19
active players and 45.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Yeah,
but this one
something's
is saying we
happening,
missed it.
See, I thought
And
we
watch, it'll be
FOMO'd
the
it.
auto
It says
bidder.
we minted it. Something's wrong.
Yeah, either the FOMO, something's wrong with the FOMO app, or it's just showing the wrong thing in the UI and someone else is settling it manually. I do wonder if the guys from nouns.sh, because they've been doing a lot of testing, I wonder if they're testing the ability to settle very quickly, because that's 2 days in a row that we settled in the first
No,
block.
I mean, I don't
so.
think. I mean, not that I've heard of. I don't think they were going to
No.
handle settling.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Still, it's a nice
Something's
sound.
definitely off. That's like really weird.
Very interesting. I mean, I guess it's possible someone could have just made a bot or something to settle everything on the first block. Did somebody
Did
kill
this change
FOMO?
when
The
they got
FOMO
rid of
killer.
the Wallet Connect?
No,
So
no.
you don't
Wallet
ha-
Connect's
you-
Wallet Connect's been
Oh.
off for a bit. Yeah.
Was that a prop house thing that got voted on, like a FOMO killer?
Yeah. Right. Did someone have a Brian J? Show yourself.
Honk,
He's done
Honk,
with
if you're
discourse.
listening, what did you do? Honk,
Yeah,
did you do
something's
this?
up.
Are you messing with us? What is going on?
I mean, it definitely seems like a bot because I don't think someone could have clicked the settle button quick enough and did the wallet interactions. But I could
Well,
be
and
wrong.
it also said we had 19 active players, but there was 46 upvotes and
Yeah.
6 down.
And
So
the first
something's
bit is the auto bidder.
wrong.
Every day
Exactly.
this happens.
Yeah, the
Something's
auto
wrong.
bidder is the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The world is your oyster.
Yeah, Winter, if you're here, can you pop on up?
Yeah, I'm
wanna
not
talk
sure
to
if
you.
it's related to what they're working. Like CDT said, they're not claiming to doing any kind of settling, but I do wonder if it's something to do with the bots that they're using.
Well, that's not settling. Why would you settle yourself? Because you got to pay the gas, right? Like you can just bot the fomonouns page, like just attach it, like I did with the JavaScript on the emoji reacts on Noun O'Clock front end. You can just make that hit the button a bunch of times, and it tries to settle, and it's done for you from the contract. Get paid.
Yeah, it's definitely getting botted, 100%, Toady. There's no other way.
Well, it's interesting that did we get a toilet paper? Is that what came up?
No.
Oyster.
Oyster.
Oh, weird, because it showed
Very
me a toilet
clearly
paper.
We got a beautiful
oyster.
oyster.
Not
It showed
It is
me
a
a toilet
really nice
paper,
sound.
which I thought was pretty fitting because this is bull.
That would have been much better.
Definitely. Well, we do have the homie CDT here,
We do.
and first of all, I mean that'll give us some more time to talk to you, man. And
Which is good, yeah.
I just wanted to say
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
because
Oh my god.
you are, dude. You just been killing so much shit in the ecosystem, and I just wanted to thank you for everything because you're the man. So first off, and second off, I want to talk about lost nouns. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Let's talk about lost nouns.
What is a lost noun, Maxi?
Love lost nouns, dude. I think
We're
it's
all
such-
lost nouns, Maxis. In all
You really
fairness.
are.
It's honestly
Woody's
such a
a
cool
lost noun
project.
whale.
It's
I love
such a
mine
cool
so much.
project, dude. I mean, getting to see the iterations of these different artworks before they, became the nouns collection as we know it today is such a cool thing. And we're getting close to the end. We are at 395 right now, and there's only going to be 404 in existence, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of unreal. I mean, to that specific note, I think I realized like a month or so ago that I'm assuming it's going to end on 403. Ironically, because we started at 0, so we're not actually
So
going to
404 is going to be
lost
missing.
now
That's
404.
awesome.
Which
Literally
sucks.
not
going to be
found.
not found.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is actually
That's
actually
fantastic.
alpha CDT because
I didn't
we've
think about it. I didn't like. I mean, I don't think we thought. I mean, it's a nouns fork, so it starts at 0, but there's no like lost nounder, whatever. So it was just the first real lost noun. But then, yeah, I mean, I think literally we were talking a couple months ago, and we were, yeah. So like, basically, we were gonna. So whenever the auctions kicked over to 24 hours, it was because we were trying to like, last minute. I mean, again, we're always thinking of new stuff. We wanted to like add so we had the 3 one-of-ones, right? We wanted to add like a bunch more one-of-ones at the end. This is mostly one to be noun and mesh up. We're working on this because I just haven't had any time because of the prop house release. But they were working on it, trying to like basically whenever Lost Nouns went live and Gremlin started sharing like a bunch of the old ones from the hard drive, they wanted to put those out too. Make the last 20 Lost Nouns all those one-of-ones or whatever. But I think something happened with the colors or the contract and they couldn't figure it out. And so, that's why we switched to 24 hours, but it ended up not working out. But we were even talking about extending it past 404 just to be able to get all these one-of-ones out. Again, I don't remember what the technical limitation was, but Yeah, regardless, I'm like 99% sure it's going to end at 403.
Interesting. I was gonna wait till 404 and try to bid on it, but that's some good alpha right there. So
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean,
403.
I guess unless something changes, but we haven't talked about, extending it. We're trying to just,
Well,
end
then
it
the 404
when we
is
said we
lost.
would.
That's perfect. The 404 is lost. Can't
Yeah,
have
it's
it.
just a meme.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. And are there any plans like after 403 or 404? Are there any plans for the future for the Lost Nouns project specifically?
Not for us, but like just because we haven't. I mean, this was just a like fun idea that we had. One to be Noun and I. He was like my first friend at Nouns that I found out when we've like the second week Nouns started, and we started like talking and building stuff, and I helped him on one of his early projects, and that's how I kind of first got involved with Nouns. And then he's the one who found out about these old traits, and so we talked about the idea of Lost Nouns way back like last September, and we were going to put it out and call it Forgotten Nouns, but then I was like, that's too long. We need shorter, more memorable names. So we settled on Lost Nouns. And then we just both got busy, so we didn't release it, for a couple months. I think we released it last like December or something. But I don't know that I've ever like had more fun working on a project, because as much as you guys are enjoying Lost Nouns, we enjoy, like, imagine finding it and being like,
Yeah.
no one knows this is real. Let's make a Nouns fork. I don't think there had been many Nouns forks then, so we didn't know what we were doing. He doesn't write Solidity, and he was learning. And then we did all this stuff.
CDT, were you in the corner of the room saying they don't know I found the Lost Nouns?
Yeah, exactly. And it was really stressful because I have like very high standards for like things I try to attach my name to. And so when we did the fork, I was like, we need Easter eggs, we need art, we need like, we have to change the playground, like all this stuff that maybe doesn't seem that like novel anymore because forking Nouns is like a lot easier. But like back then, like I don't know that there were many attempts at something like this, and we weren't sure we could pull it off, and we just wanted it to be, again, just a super like, again, we always say like love letter to Nouns, but we were just really jazzed about the project and the fact that we found like 150 lost traits, and we made a trait page and all that kind of stuff. And but yeah, the plan from back then, because back in December I was still working a full-time job. He does as well, and so we have no time, and we knew very clearly, and this still holds true for me, like I personally could like not do like any sort of a DAO thing, like and then seeing like little Nouns explode and do well and have this community, I was like, there's no way I could do that. So from the beginning, we never wanted a DAO, a Discord, or anything like that. As much as that would be fun, and I think it'd be more touch points for the community, I just like, it's just like a boundary thing. I just know that I cannot, as busy as I am, take on anything extra. So Lost Nouns is only ever going to just be a meme project for fun. And the most exciting thing about it always was, the big reveal that this stuff exists, and here it is,
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It'd be fun to do something with the Noundry. Like I don't know, there's something there, I think, with Ben Ripe and everybody over there that's kind of extending the Noundry stuff. Like
put them on composables.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be really cool for composables. Like
composables.
I would say if you release the one of ones as NFTs at like a standard auction, if they don't end up going, that could be really fun. And then all the traits getting added to composables would be sweet.
So I mean, from the beginning, we've had the Lost Nouns traits available for download, because I'm like, I want everyone else to go do that stuff. I just personally was not able to take on anything extra, but fully supportive of like anyone doing anything Lost Nouns related.
And thank you for that, CDT. So there are Lost Noun traits in Flora Nouns. And again, I'm going to shout you out for Nouns.Center, because we absolutely could not have created Flora Nouns without it. So thank you
for that beautiful segue, Prof. Woodard.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I was going to say,
let's talk about Nouns.Center.
Cool platform.
We're not worthy! We're not CDT, how does it feel to have developed just the perfect resource for anyone looking to learn from nouns?
It feels really good, to be honest, because that was the point. You know, I mean, again, I've been around since like the first week, and so I see a ton of people come and go, and I just kind of pick up on, the friction they have coming into the Discord day one and the amount of questions they need immediately answered just to get up to speed. And I see people leave. I see builders who even got props on leave, and trying to think about like why they left and why they didn't stay and what could have been done better. And just I think about onboarding a lot. And I mean, Nouns has been great for me. I am not special. There's nothing, different about me. I just haven't left and I just keep on working on new stuff since the beginning.
You heard
and
here, guys. The alpha is just don't leave. Just squat.
Don't. I mean,
just
like
Well,
there's so
it's
much
so deep.
opportunity here.
He's being modest though. He's coding all day.
Yeah, well, right now I'm walking around. I didn't want to code during this. I want to be respectful, so I'm actually taking a break right now. But
I hear that
yeah.
keyboard, sir.
CDT,
But-
you kind of started in SharkDAO too, right?
Yeah, so literally the very first thing I ever did in like crypto, in Web3, if you will, was like, well, first was like, go to the Nouns Discord, see the Nouns price and immediately leave because I was like, okay, not for me. And so then I, like a lot of people, because you don't know that there's things you can do in Nouns apart from buying. I went to SharkDAO, which I think was like the only real vocal. Like I think this was even like pre-Goop. I just went to the SharkDAO Discord and was like, okay, so this is for the poor people. What can I do? And I think I literally just like sent a message that was like, what can I do? I'm a front end dev. Like I would like to help. And I think, again, not to get too preachy, but I think like when people join Nouns and first get here, I think the best step is just to like not try to get funding, just try to like contribute something. I mean, depending on the project, obviously, but I think there's just a big benefit to just coming in and helping out. So the first thing I did was like, ask what I could do. And by some stroke of luck, there was already a designer who had fleshed out the whole website. It just hadn't been built. So I walked in and they were like, we need a website. And like, I literally stayed up that entire night and built the website that night. And so, just because I was like so like anxious to
But
like.
to be clear, you didn't ask for anything in return. It was just like, we need a
of course
website.
not.
And then the next day,
No.
CDT's like, oh, yeah, it's done.
Here's your website on a silver platter. Here you go. With
I just want to point out quickly though that Joshua Fisher is not that poor though. You said Sharks was for the poorest, but he's not that poor.
I mean, SharkDAO does have
Josh.
6. We do have 6 nouns at SharkDAO. So
now we do. I think back then we had 2, 3.
Oh wow, 2 nouns. What a low bar.
We got 2, 5, 15, 33, 47, 139.
But who's counting?
Pretty amazing to have number 2. That's cool.
And number 5. It was so fun.
I thought 2 was Richard. Is 3 Richard?
Hey, Josh, what did you guys pay for the shark one you got?
Oh, just
$269.
Casual. CDT, didn't you also build a website?
Put it out there that you're willing to spend any amount and your treasury amount is known, not the best idea.
That's what you call the Constitution DAO strategy.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, Jody. It's the Constitution DAO strategy. It does not work.
It's interesting because that's probably about 4.2 nouns worth of noun at the moment.
But what other noun was in an other side commercial and is used in almost every derivative illustration and like it's just an iconic noun the way it looks and the fact that it was bought by a community and all this to say CDT very integral part of SharkDAO being successful as far as I'm concerned.
CDT, I was going to ask, didn't you also build a website for Toads?
Yeah, so that was the first, I would say, like major thing I did. I mean, the SharkDAO website's great, but it was it was just a one pager, and then I didn't know anything about crypto. Everything was really confusing. And so besides building a lot, I also had to take in a lot of information because I have no context. I know I talk about this all the time, but like, I feel super involved in this space, but I also feel like the dumbest person in the space. I don't have context. I was not around for many years in this space. And so I still feel super new in some regard. And so I just, 4 and 5 6 was doing the Noun Spaces back then. You guys might not even remember. He was doing a daily space around 9 o'clock. That was like the, Noun Square before the Noun Square. He did it for like the first couple months.
The lost Noun Square.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was just, Twitter Spaces, is obviously a thing in crypto. It's huge, but it was more so back then during the bull market. I was just joining everything. I was on the space when the mutant apes dropped, and I heard everyone talking about it. I didn't know what mutant apes were. I was on the cryptodes like drop space where like the team was like, we released cryptos. I didn't have any ETH. I couldn't mint. I didn't know anything. I just was like trying to take in information. And so cryptodes, I've always loved. I have a couple of them, and obviously Gremlin tied to nouns, and just I love the project in general. And I've always like really, I always like have loved and vibed with that community. And so again, I did the same thing. I think I went to their Discord and was like, how can I help? And nothing. Someone responded and was like, what if we made some, like, loot was big back then, and there was some website where you could like if you had some loot item, if you could claim some other one or something like that, right? So they were like, there's something like that for toads. What if we did that to help people claim something, like some other derivative if you had a toad? And so I just forked that, made it, and then I was like, that's cool, but like, what if we started listing projects? And and like from there, the project Toadstools came about, which ironically, is where Noun Center came about. It just became this like Cryptodes is this huge community. They're also CC0. There's a million builders making all these projects. That's where I met Woody. He was making songs and everything, right? And everyone always, it's just obvious with a community like this, with open source and CC0, you want to know like a state of the world of like, what is everything that does exist? You kind of need one place to find all that. And so that's what Toadstools was. And Nouns is obviously bigger and has more funding, and it's a DAO and all that. And so if there was something like that for Nouns, it could be that, but even more, because there's more to it than like the Cryptodes community. And so more tools and pages. And so now it's Noun Center, and Noun Center's got like 20 pages or something like that. And so, yeah.
I've been asked a few times, like on Spaces on the radio once, about like where to send people to learn about nouns, and I always send them there. There's nothing wrong with nouns.wtf. It's just that when you just kind of drop there out of the blue, it doesn't really explain really well what nouns are or why you would want to stick around and find out about it. So I think that's what's really powerful about Noun Center, is that you can kind of go there, you can kind of see at a glance, okay, there's like a community aspect, there's a funding aspect, and there's a history here, and you can learn about all three very easily.
Well, I'll tell you guys something that no one else knows.
Alpha.
Yeah.
We promise we won't tell anyone.
No, you should.
It's
public. I shouldn't have said that. It's not that big a deal. It's exciting. But like, Noun Center, there's a pull request that was just merged, which just means like a change. Noun Center is now going to be linked from nouns.wtf on the docs tab. So Noun Center is replacing the Notion docs on nouns.wtf. So it'll just be more accessible.
That's so
more
amazing.
People will see it. Yeah. So
it only took a year.
Yeah, that's up to them and their timing, right? They run the Noun site.
Love
so whenever they want.
Exactly.
That wasn't a knock on you by any means.
Yeah, I think I've, at this point, like I think I've merged over, like, ported over most of the info from that Notion. So, yeah, and then another thing I haven't told anyone that I'm thinking of trying to do is, because the one thing, Noun Center, I think Noun Center is very, very helpful because that's what I've tried to make it. But, I'm not a designer. Like, look at Prop House, and that's what happens when I get to work with a designer who knows what they're doing, and then look at Noun Center. Noun Center is super useful. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but, like, it is not the best design. I am not a designer. It's just kind of like the info is kind of like on the page, which is fine because that's what the site needs to be. It just needs to be helpful and easy to read. But like personally, I would like some sort of a, better design, a designer's touch. And so I'm thinking of requesting funding, maybe doing like a design prop house round to try to crowdsource the redesign for Noun Center for next year, or later this year, I mean.
That sounds like a perfect one for the prop house round of prop house ideas for the next round.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This recent.
But I think you're selling your design short anyway, because I think that the usefulness of it is the most important part.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And
this recent redesign is incredible.
Looks great. It's
Yeah.
so useful.
I think it's fine. I'm not about to if you look at Prop House, that's what working with a proper designer is like,
I get what you're saying.
No pun intended.
Prop House looks really good right now. It really, it's so clean. So well done.
Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. And that kind of like segues into the other thing you do, which is the podcast. And I have a few questions about that too. Like,
Woody,
I think
just before we get into the podcast, can we do a quick call out to people about something?
No, I want to talk about the podcast, dude. What are you talking about?
I just wanted to say, so that people can kind of get their thoughts together, but we're going to open it up to questions for any questions that people in the audience have for CDT. But here's the catch. If you want to ask a question to CDT, you got to go on nouno'clock.app and you got to put it in the chat. So you put it in the chat, and then we're going to pick a question from there for CDT once we talk about the podcast. So that's where you got to go, nouno'clock.app, connect your wallet. It's perfectly safe to connect your wallet. It's just for the chat, and then ask your question of CDT, and we'll come to it later. All right, Woody, go. That's fine.
Shots fired. Yeah, man. I mean, so the podcast is so dope, and I feel like the Noun Center stuff is probably the most shared link in the Nouns ecosystem. Like, it's the answer to almost every question that comes up in the Discord in some way, shape, or form. And so with those two things, the podcast being very informative and talking to some of the heavy hitters in the Nouns ecosystem, like, what is your opinion on like the best way to onboard people into Nouns? Because that's something that I've really been thinking about, like with being in the Noun Square, doing the Twitter spaces, and having our slang and lingo, and having nouns be this like really complex and complicated thing to wrap your head around for most people. What does that look like in your opinion, for like even your podcast listeners? Like how do you sort of onboard new people into the ecosystem?
Yeah, it's 100% Noun Center and nothing else. The podcast is not optimized for new people. I mean, there's been talk about maybe recording an episode about like intro to nouns, but because there's no visual component to it, I feel like the open prop where people are making like a nouns explainer like video is probably the way to go for a static piece of content. But in general, I mean, the idea of Noun Center was not just to have these questions available, these answers available, was for them to lead you to other pages, right? And so, you come to Nouns, and most people start at nouns.center/intro. That's a general overview. Maybe it needs some updating, but it was written by the Nounders. I just pulled that in from Notion. Those aren't actually my words, right? The core team wrote that, and so it's kind of like their intro, so I just run with it. And so if you go there, the best answer is like, who's asking? What context do you have? Like, if you don't know anything, then yeah, go to intro. But if you're a dev, trying to, you know how to code, you know what crypto is, you've heard of nouns, you just need I need to, onboard to nouns by downloading the code base and figuring out like how to make a fork. Well, like I have nouns.center/dev, which is kind of like a mini homepage. It's got like 9 or 10 links just on nouns.center/dev, which has all of the docs and APIs and subgraph and all this, documentation and stuff that like link to the contract, etc. Artists, like we have the assets page with all the downloads, the fonts, etc. And so, I mean, it really depends on who's asking, because that depends on where you get sent, which is why the homepage needs to be, I mean, like what it is now, but we're still like, I have some like really big plans of how basically Noun Center can kind of morph into basically four, you know, basically different factions because there is so many aspects to it, you know, and so, but when you come to the homepage, uh, everything needs to be clear about like what are you looking for. So if you see, I think it's like, you know, about nouns, and we have, you know, that top carousel that you can scroll with your, you know, finger or whatever. It's like the history of nouns, about nouns, etc. The traits, and then there's a community, there's a learn, and then the funding one is huge. I think those funding guides that I wrote a couple months back was like some of the biggest questions that were answered, because how to get funding, which avenue to go through, and how do I do it? Do I need a noun? Like these things are just asked every single day.
Oh yeah.
And so
me and Abtoshi have
yeah.
been doing those Ask Us Anythings in the Discord, and we use Noun Center for that exact page, for the funding page, almost every week. So it's very helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, onboarding does not mean like now you never have to talk to a human about nouns because I've answered all your questions. They're just like tools. Like you, like there is still need for you to run that talk, but now you don't have to go all the way back and explain like, you know, maybe the different paths. You could just send someone to /funding, and from there the page does a little help, you know, and it will do some of the communication for you if you don't have time, or you know. So that was kind of the point. I mean, people still answer questions all the time in the Discord, but like Noun Center just hopefully can be a tool to kind of like maybe automate away a little bit of that.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, it depends on who you're asking, and this gives you the tools to ask the right questions and find the right people to ask them to, I think.
Yeah, definitely. When people are asking questions in the Discord, and sometimes like we take it to DMs to not clog up general, 99% of the time what I end up doing is linking them to various Nouns.Center pages and being like, okay, read this, and then ask me any questions you have.
Well, I mean, learning is visual too, right? So, I mean, you can tell them the things all you want, but until they see that, you know, nice little picture with the ladders, and then they're like, oh, I get it now. You know, there's 3 tiers. It just makes such a big impact.
Yeah, totally. And so that's why, you know, battling between having more pages with less content, so it's, you know, very hyper specific, because like, I mean, we just added a press page, you know, that's a very specific use case that most people aren't going to use. But what if someone from the press, you know, does need to reach out? Well, like maybe we do need something really hyper specific. And so that's what I was saying, that like, I got a guy working with me who wants to like help out with nouns. I mean, granted, Noun Center is open source. Anyone can fork it and play with it and open pull requests. But like, there's a guy who like wants to, you know, help more seriously, you know, with some changes. And so we're just in talks of like, you know, fine, like we have these 4 sections of the website. What happens when each section's got like 15 pages? It's just massive. And so we're thinking of like how Noun Center becomes this jumping off point for what, you know, could be a giant sub site, right? Like maybe we set up subdomains, and you have like dev.nouns.center, right? And it's a standalone site that's like a Noun Center direct, you know, specifically for developers. And it's like not a part of Noun Center. It's just like this entire kind of dev site with, you know, specifically tailored, you know. Right now it's not a problem, but what happens again when there's, you know, 10, 15 pages per section, and there's just so much that one site needs to be responsible for encompassing? How do you design that? How do you have a navigation with 45 pages on it? So I don't know. That's just long-term thinking, but we're thinking through it.
Yeah, I think that's smart, because like as the ecosystem scales and as nouns reach more and more people, I think having the, you know, subsections of the site like that is a wise thing. You know, it's kind of like having, like how there's forks of nouns now for different domains and niches. I think it's going to be the same kind of thing there, where the ecosystem, like for example, the dev ecosystem, that'll grow. There's going to be like at some point there's going to be over 1,000 devs all congregating around this stuff. So I think having dedicated ones for each niche like that would make sense.
Yeah, and I mean the downside of not growing is like, you know, say, like if you go to /dev, you'll see that there's a bunch of cards with a bunch of content. The more content there is, I have to make each piece, like each card, smaller because if there's 2 rows and there's 100 items, no one's ever going to scroll to the bottom. Like it's just a real estate kind of question, And so as we get to a big enough scale, I almost need to break it off so that each thing can get more, visibility or UI real estate. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's more like, can we make a new podcast where we talk to you and dissect your brain? Because you're like the knowledge hub of like
I need
all
this
of
to
these
happen.
things. Yeah.
Woody dissects CDT's brain next.
Yeah,
On...
let's do it.
The Nouns.Center podcast, where guests come on and interview CDT instead.
Yeah, like I said, I'm happy to do spaces. I love to talk. I will go on spaces every single day, but
you're booked. You're in. All right. You're
look, I'll
we'll
do
see you
it.
tomorrow.
I love talking
Welcome
about
to
this work. But there's been talk. People have asked about me going like on my own podcasts, and my first response is like, I would rather just go on someone else's. But there's not really other Nouns podcasts. I think NARS is starting one. I know Little Nouns have one now, but like, there's just not other avenues really. Like, I'm down for long form. Yes, I've done hers.
You did that one, right? You did that.
Yes,
already,
but that was right before I quit my job, so I didn't announce it, and so we just talked about, pre-full-time Noun stuff. I would love to do that again.
So you need to go back on, and talk
totally.
about what you've been
now
doing.
There's a lot more to talk about, but
so there you go, Cryptasha. There's a guest for you.
Yeah. So what if you had a guest host like Prof Werder come in and interview you on your show?
Well, so now we have 2 amazing producers. They're here in the audience, Matthew and Briley. They came on, they got small grants funding, and so now they are the full-time producers of the podcast. They do all the editing. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I mean, it's been like 3 episodes now, and the quality is so much better. And I don't have to do any of the post-production, so it's been amazing having them on the team. But they also host podcasts too, and so we'll probably do an episode with me as the guest, and they'll probably host.
So he doesn't need me, Sam. He just doesn't need me.
This is already in the works, is my point. This has already been planned. But I just don't want to do it yet. It just feels a little early to be like, here's this cool pod I'm shilling every week. Now listen to me. And so let's just like maybe towards the end of the year.
We can hear you blushing on the other side of the phone.
It feels.
Sir.
I'm not.
Hey, Prof
You're being way too coy. You're being way too coy.
Hey, Prof Werder, I'm just wondering, did you go on CDT's podcast and tell them that you sold Lost Nouns at the top? Is that what happened, maybe? Or?
No, I haven't sold Lost Nouns yet, but I'll be happy to do that right before I go on the podcast.
Yesterday, CDT for context, when we had Mando and Farouk on. Prof Werder came on to ask a question, and she said, "I sold my rug at the top, but."
I believe the quote was, "I took profits."
I sold my crypto dick butts at the top. As a matter of fact, nice. Let's be very specific. So that was about giving some pain to Woody. I knew that was going to be painful.
Yeah, but
sorry, Woody.
You read up and you bought a Toads rug.
I bought our
right
Toads
after the show.
one. Yeah,
so you redeemed yourself. You're good.
All right, we'll stop ribbing you about it.
I mean, I won't.
Farouk is like the king of taking profit, so I knew he would appreciate this.
The profit of taking profit.
There you go.
Awesome. So you heard the alpha here. CDT is going to be on his own podcast as his own guest.
At some point. There's so many people. Like, mentally, I've booked out most of through the rest of the year, through 2022. I haven't confirmed everyone, but...
he hasn't told the guests yet, but they're all booked.
Dude, have you guys ever seen that video that somebody edited together of Joe Rogan talking to himself, like interviewing himself?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got to do that with CDT, dude.
Actually, CDT, instead of having your producers interview you, why don't you have Rocco come on and interview you? That would be cool.
Yes.
So, someone mentioned that on Twitter the other day. Again, I'm not making this about myself, but that would be fun. It was a lot of work just to get that interview. And then when we were done, we got the final edit. It was like, it's only 10 minutes. And I was like, okay. So it's not easy to like get a lot of content out of out of an AI, but I would totally be down. It would just require a lot of coordination again with Shep.
I thought that interview really showed your strength as an interviewer, though, because even speaking to an AI or a robot, you did such a good job of getting good responses out of him, and also you could tell you were noticeably surprised by some of the answers too. Like
we didn't. I'm telling you, we didn't edit those answers. I played off what he, responded. Like that was the whole point. So we went through like a dry run once to like understand, like, Shep would generate the answers, and we'd be like, oh, okay, because with all my guests, I don't write a script, but I write a bunch of talking points that, we can go off of or not, but I always want to be prepared. But you never know where the conversation is going to go, And I did the same with Rocco. I had all these questions, but then when you start doing it, and with Rocco, I mean, we have to feed it the text and then play the audio. So when you get the response, you're like, okay, that doesn't really help lead me into any of my questions. And so there's a little bit of like, having to figure it out on the fly. But yeah, like a lot of the responses, like it brought up that its mom passed away 2 years ago. That came out of nowhere. I asked it what its controversial opinion was, and it said that broccoli was healthy. And like that made me laugh. And that came out of nowhere.
The one about the beach too was good.
Yeah, nowhere in the training data that it was fed did mother passing away or broccoli ever come up. And so that kind of stuff, you just have to
That's really interesting.
Go with it. Yeah, it was really interesting. I was just as surprised as you guys were. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, if you haven't heard that one, go on his profile there and check for the mini. It was called a mini podcast with Rocco. Definitely worth a listen.
It's so cool.
Yeah. If someone can find it actually and pin it, that'd be awesome. Speaking of pins, CDT, I've been pinning memes for you throughout this because that's one thing I wanted to mention too, is that you've made Nouns so much fun for a lot of us that came into it. And part of that is just your adeptness at finding the right meme or GIF for literally any comment that you might make. So I have to give you props as a meme lord, and tried to pay some tribute to you today by meming while we were interviewing.
Oh, nice. I haven't scrolled through them. I'm just pacing around.
And the speed that you do it at, it's just like the perfect response.
It's a speed memer
combination. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very, in tune with my own meme folder. So when something comes up, I already have the thing ready to go.
You have like a screen. You have like 4 screens at your workstation. One of them is specifically open folder of GIFs and emoji icons to drag over into the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
the worst
extremely
is when
ready.
you find the perfect GIF and it doesn't have noggles, and it's like.
Then you got to go to Goldie and say, "Hey, noglify this, please."
Yeah, you got to send up the bat signal to Goldie. It's the whole thing.
So I'm going over to 9o'clock.app to see what questions we might have gotten asked, and I have a question here. It's actually from Prof. Werder, but it's a good one. Who was your favorite podcast guest so far? Well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say what I mean by but is that she's up on the stage. I was hoping to get a question from some of the folks down, not on the stage, but that's okay. It's still a great question, and let's ask it. Who was your favorite podcast guest so far?
Favorite so far? Let me think.
I thought this was going to be a really easy answer.
So did I.
Oh no! I mean, wait. What do you think is the easy answer?
Oh, I'm not gonna
invite you.
Is this bait?
Yeah. Are you a guest, Prof? Have you been on the podcast?
No, I haven't been on. So
I
it's
was
not me.
super...
No, but I had an answer in my head that I thought he was going to say.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know about favorite because the way I approach the podcast, like it's like what like excites me the most, and there are certain. Okay, I'll just give the answer, then I'll explain. But like, maybe the one I was like really, really excited to like do in recent, because I kind of cut off things maybe before. I kind of think it pre-Noundry podcast and post, because at the Noundry podcast was when I finally got them off of Twitter Spaces, so the audio quality was a lot better. You know what I mean? I really do think of things kind of before that as very different, and on Twitter Spaces, there's dead air at the beginning. People talk over one another. There's air horns. Like, yes.
Shots fired.
Chaos is why I stopped doing a podcast on Twitter Spaces. Because it's a lot, and people get rugged. And so I started doing them over Zoom. And so the Noundry and the 4156 one were like the first pair I did them like the same, or like, you know, within 24 hours. The first pair, like the quality really kicks up. And then I also decided to take a different approach, because the 4156 one, really, obviously I have to do a good job at that one. I did this deep dive. And so
I really thought that was going to be your answer. Like,
yeah, me too.
Answer right
so
off the top. Like, absolutely. So I'm surprised.
No, my answer is probably the next one. It's probably Vape Ape, to be honest. And I think that comes about for a couple reasons. Yeah, so that comes from a couple reasons. Yes, we love 4156, but he's also been on a bunch of pods. And so, well, one, I was really excited to kill that one, because, you know, if you've been on a bunch of podcasts, how am I going to bring something new to the table if you've already been interviewed about everything? Plus, I don't know any more about him than you do, and so that's not always easy. And I think I did a good job. I mean, it was interesting trying to like dive into his backstory, and I don't think he gets asked about that. Maybe I was more excited about Vape Ape because he was more anonymous. Like, he is less vocal. He has not really done podcasts, you know, and there's a lot less information. So as a host, also I'm a dev and he's a dev, and so there's like that of like just kind of like maybe like a different kind of like respect or admiration for like the work. You know what I mean? That like
I could definitely feel that now that you say that.
Yeah,
I could definitely feel that in your interview, like that there was
I mean,
dev talking to dev at moments, but not in
but also
not in a
dev
way
who
that I
knows
couldn't
nothing
understand, you know, so which is cool.
Yeah.
That was a really good podcast, because I came out the other end of it still not knowing what MEV is, but it was still very interesting to listen to the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough with these podcasts to be like, all right, we're going to interview people. I'm committing to having the best interview they've ever done, which means I have to be very knowledgeable about what they're knowledgeable about to be able to banter with them about it and get stuff out of them. But it's not easy because everyone's anonymous in this space. There's no, you know, there's no history to look up, and you don't know anything about their topic. I don't know about MEV, right? Like, I'm aware of the concept, but I have to learn in real time. And so every podcast is super nerve-wracking. And then 15 minutes in, I like, you know, I mean, you just see me 30 minutes before a podcast, I want to quit the podcast. I want to run away. I'm like, I'm not doing this again. This is the worst thing. This is the most stressful, you know. But then after 15 minutes, I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever done. I'm quitting being a dev. I'm only a podcast host now. And the podcast is amazing, but it's just like, I think because of the like quality level I try to bring into it of like being prepared and all of this, that like it just is so stressful. But yeah, with Vape, I think,
well, you're doing a great job, and I will say that, you know, once upon a time and a long time ago, I used to do oral histories that we videotaped, including one with like Governor Michael Dukakis and things like that. So it does take a lot of research when you want to really prep. So I can understand that, and you're doing a great job, because even though you've got these anonymous people, you can tell that you have done that research and that you know where they're coming from and really tailor the questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that on top of I've been, you know, coding 8 hours a day for Prop House, you know, I feel like I can breathe a little bit more now, but that plus Noun Center and Prop House has just been a lot. But yeah, probably the Vape one, just because he's a Nounder and I have been around to the beginning, so I have a little bit of like awe and respect for these guys on this team, and you know, I feel the same way about like probably Dev Carrot and Solly, because they're probably the other ones I know the least because they're the most anonymous out of the bunch, maybe. And so, and they're also devs. Not Seneca. I talk to him every single day. So, but you know,
he's lost his luster.
Anonymous. Yeah, no, he's just the
homie. Gone.
It's just different. But yeah.
I really thought it was going to be the 3 times that you had Toady on your podcast, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. You were guest number 1. Let's not forget.
That's right. Going back to Prop House, actually, you mentioned it just a minute ago. We do have to wrap up here in out of respect for your time, because I know that you've got some coding to do, I'm sure, or some podcasting or something.
No, he just said he was done with coding and he can he can breathe a little bit. So
okay,
we're
can
good.
we just stay on all day then? Actually,
yeah, he's becoming a full-time podcast
all day.
Whatever you guys want.
But here, I've got a question for you about Prop House. I'm noticing that under Nouns, we've got a couple new houses, the Agora delegate race and the crowdsourcing ideas round. What's the deal with those? Can you give us a little bit of insight? CDT? You're on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, sorry.
I thought I finally stumped you.
No, you're good. I was just laughing because I don't know a whole lot about those because that, the new rounds are handled by Seneca, and I have been in a cave, especially this last week because I knew we were launching. So it was kind of news to me as well. So yeah, no, I don't know as much about them. I mean, the crowdsourcing ideas, I mean, I've heard about it. I had no idea about the Agora delegate race. It's a great idea. I mean, we've talked about the idea of like, doing a prop house for delegates is what it seems like that is. But I did not know exactly that it was going. We were going to run it, and it was going to be called the Agora delegate race. But it's really cool to see. I'm excited about it.
Cool. I saw another round that popped up yesterday and disappeared, so I wonder what's going to happen with that. I guess a temp check is happening. You didn't see it? It was a hackathon.
No, I've been fixing bugs because we hit ship and I was like, we're good. And then it's just funny. When you ask someone a question and then in that moment you know the answer, so you feel stupid. Like we were like, we're going live, and then as we hit live, I found 18 bugs. And so once we went live, I've been coding literally since we went live until this morning. And I have like right now 10 different fixes that are like gonna go, like I think we're gonna like push an update, right? But like, yeah, it's just that always happens.
That's crazy.
But no, I don't know what you saw.
Yeah, there was a little blip of a hackathon about building on top of the new open source graph, but yeah, it disappeared, and I think it's because he's doing a temp check to see if Nouners are into it. But
but that's like prop house using prop house. But I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, totally.
Hey CDT, could I ask you a question real quick, bro? With Tiny Dinos, we're on 7 different chains, right? And prop house is only on ETH. In the future, will you guys be adding more chains to prop house? I know we can fork it and do it ourselves, but I didn't know if you guys planned on adding any of the chains also.
Different chains versus, so
it's only Ethereum right now. So like Poly, AVAX, BSC, all the different chains. We're on 7 of them. All of our supply isn't just on ETH. So
really, you're just talking about like the currency that's given out?
Correct.
No, you're talking about votes, right?
No, we're talking. Yeah, the tokens. Like our tokens are on 7 different chains. They're not all on ETH.
Yeah, I mean, probably a Seneca question. I do know that we now, we have handled different like currency types because we have like the UMA house that like you don't give out ETH, you give out the UMA NFTs. So we support different currency besides ETH, but I don't know much about different. Like, again, this is just where my like noobish into crypto. Like I don't know much about other chains, to be honest. I don't mess around with them or spend time. I don't know. I don't know what all that entails, but Seneca probably knows. I can answer.
Cool. Thank you.
A question for Seneca.
Yeah.
Any other
like,
questions?
As far as like the currency, just for everyone else, like, even if you go to the Agora one, you can see that under the funding, it doesn't say ETH, right? I don't know what NDV means, but I'm sure, or it probably means Nouns delegate vote. And so like,
yeah,
prop house is not just ETH, like take the Nounlets. Like, we could run around to like, the winners get Nounlets. So, it was always going to be able to support more than just ETH. Because prop house is kind of this idea behind it, and it's not just like an ETH specific kind of mechanism.
Yeah, on that note, we're working with Seneca as well to roll out. Well, the house is already there, the Noun Square house, but we're moving our coordinate payments for our team over to Prop House. So in that case, there'll be literally no prize at all. It's just to get it on there, get all the summaries of our work, and then vote for our allocations instead of using coordinate. So there's really no limit to what you can use the infrastructure for, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we have a lot more planned.
Ooh. You want to spill more?
That I will not talk about.
Alpha. What if I play that?
Say more. just
Seneca
say a little
will
more.
kill me.
Oh, he's not on anymore. He left.
Well,
so
You'll never know.
I will
we
leak
won't
things
tell.
with my own projects, but I will not cross that line with Prop House.
This is what they say off the record. Completely off the record.
That's off the record. Looking at the big blinking recording sign at the top left.
It's only being
Everyone's
recorded
sworn to
by
secrecy.
Twitter, streamed to YouTube, recorded separately by Robot Fish Girl.
Probably
but yeah, other than
being
that,
listened in on by the NSA and the SEC. You know, things like.
That's right.
Yeah.
Aside from that, though, we're completely just pretend it's you and me in the room, CDT.
You guys are insane.
A little bit.
Yeah, we go hard around here. Any other questions for CDT?
There's one more from Feelings or Data in the 9 o'clock.
Oh, nice. I didn't see it. So let's go see. What do we got? Feelings are data. Question for CDT. In a global context of climate change and political instability across the world, why do you think nouns is important? Woo, not pulling any punches. Feelings are data.
This is like deep.
I'm sweating for him.
Feelings are deep.
Okay,
this is
people
a good
were
one.
laughing. Ask the question one more time.
In a global context of climate change and political instability across the world, why do you think nouns is important, sir?
I think it's a great way for people to both enjoy things, because I'm having a lot of fun, but also very real people can be impacted financially, like in a good way. I'm way more on the side of I know that we're doing meme proliferation, right? But I keep harping on I want nouns to do more. I want to help fund education. I want to donate. I don't just want to keep saying like donate to public goods, right? I want to do more about it, and so it's something I'm thinking about a lot. But
let's build public goods.
Yeah, I mean,
donate to
more glasses for kids.
Yeah, I mean that's great, and nouns figured out the capital allocation. I do not lay awake, hoping that noun survives. I think it's there, and I think it's going to keep growing. And so I'm doing my best to support this big behemoth that I think has the potential to do a lot of good, right? And so, in the short term, there are, very tangible, even more selfish benefits, right? Any one person can come and get paid that can really impact your singular life and household, right? Like it has mine, I mean, even when I got my first ETH from like my first proposal that I worked on, and I mean, we've seen it do good through a lot of different props and, give money to people who could use it. But I think, as it grows and more people find out about it, I think there's a ton of potential for nouns to be super high impact, right? I mean, we have millions of dollars. What happens when we have like hundreds of millions of dollars? And, every day we're just going to keep making more. And so I think there's a ton of potential to support nouns because nouns has the greater potential to actually do something good. So we need more people with more ideas, and we need to onboard them like Noun Center to get them up to speed as quickly as possible so that they can bring their ideas. It's not up to the 10 founders. It's not up to the 150 DAO members right now. We need a lot more people with a lot of ideas coming from a lot of backgrounds, to bring new ideas of how to spend all this money, right? And so I know it's early, but I think it's important to, have a high, bar for what we want out of this thing. And I'm trying to do my part. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that's it.
So wait, I feel like
I will remind you, CDT, you brought Woody to nouns, so this is you. This is on you.
I know, and look at him. He has a proposal that passed.
Sure does.
We love to see the full cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love the Woody.
Amazing.
But we can't just gloss over the uniqueness of the CDT wallet. First ETH ever coming from a NounsDAO proposal into that wallet. That's pretty unique. Maybe the only one.
Well, actually, I lied. It's well, okay. Here's another story I've never told publicly. Okay, stop doing that. I'm gonna stop telling stories. Oh my gosh. The first ETH I think I actually ever got paid was from 4156 himself.
Oh my God, it's even more legendary.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I told him this privately on the podcast. He said I could put it in, but I felt weird opening the 4156 pod about a story, how like he sent me ETH, and I was like, you know what, this would just be like, I'll just tell him. But he said it's fine. I just still felt weird about publishing it to a podcast. I mean,
it's
again,
iconic, man.
Yeah, this is. I know. Again, I just struggle. Like, I know I'm the host, but I'm really not trying to make it about me. But this is fine. This is fine. We're all friends here. So
you're also the guest here, so it's good.
Yeah, exactly. I have no problem with that. When I first started, this is super early on. When he was doing the 9 o'clock spaces, I would join them, and he would, I mean, the Discord was like, 100 people, 50, whatever, and he was asking, or like he was just, giving people ideas of what to build and whatnot, and like he DM'd me about, I don't remember, I probably did the same thing I always did. I just joined the Discord and I was like, how can I help? I'm a dev, and he just sent me a couple ETH and was like, do you want to work on nouns in a more official capacity, right? Not meaning like, full time or anything back then. It was just like, basically he just gave me some ETH and was like, go build something for nouns. Just, it was just kind of like a blind faith kind of, trust in stranger. But like back then, I mean, now there's people clamoring to get ETH from nouns because it's well known. But imagine nouns was 100th of the size it is now, and you kind of, I mean, it was like paying people to come, work for nouns, and so that kind of led to the development. I was part of proposal number 9, and I was hacking on things before that. I helped make some of those, fun games that 1-2B Noun was making back on nouns.com way back in the day, and I just kind of hacked around for a couple months. But yeah, I remember sitting in my car at my old job, and I never understood the idea of like ETH address, right? Like I had a wallet because I really wanted to buy my ENS. So I like probably, spent $50 to get my ENS, my like full name ENS, not my CDT. But like, I remember him asking like, what's your wallet address? And I gave it to him and I was like, am I doing this right? Is this the wallet address? Because what do I know? And then like 20 seconds later, it was like thousands of dollars. I called my brother. I didn't get it. It sounds really silly now, but like imagine like hearing about crypto and then literally seeing like money on your phone that you didn't know, like you didn't know that like that was like you got it, you know what I mean? And so yeah, it's kind of a fun story. He sent me my first ETH ever to kind of hack on nouns. And it was a pretty mind-blowing experience back then.
In the context of that, I think it's really interesting to mention how you are now full-time with Nouns. You're a resident at Nouns. What does that mean for anyone listening who doesn't know what a resident is?
Yeah, so, I mean, to like really dumb it down into like, because again, people have different opinions on the term resident. You can think of it like I'm a contractor, right? It's not a corporation. There's no health insurance. You know what I mean? Like I am paid to basically work for X amount of months for X amount of dollars or ETH or whatever on X amount of things. And so roughly 6 months ago, I'm about to have to re-up, to be honest. It's crazy. It's been 6 months, but
yeah.
I mean, I was hacking away super early in the morning and super late at night because I had a full-time job. I was a dev at a startup, and was working on all this stuff and launching Lost Nouns, and I announced in a proposal and just all this stuff, and we had started this spaces, and then they basically approached me and were like, what will it take to go full time? And so it just encouraged me that like, look, we have all this ETH. It's really strange that you're not that you're still working a full-time job when you could be spending more time doing this. And they encouraged me to open a proposal to fund or to get funding for me to quit my job, and I did, which is crazy. And
what was it like to quit your job? What did your boss say when you quit your job to go work for Nouns?
Yeah, so not great. Well, first of all, when they asked me to like join, I like said no. I was talking to Seneca, and because obviously I wanted to do it. It sounded great, but it's not easy to quit it. Like, I am still a crypto baby. I've not had ETH for years, and and so like the idea of just like quitting. I'm a self-taught dev, and that was my first dev job. And so it is such a slog to interview and to be told. I mean, I've been rejected from like 100 companies just because no one likes a self-taught dev, because there's no like history and resume and credentials and yada yada. Like, and so when I finally got my first dev job, and then like 8 months later, it's like, come work for us. It's like, yeah, but like, what if it's only 6 months and then I have to go get another job and interviewing sucks and they're gonna, I just like didn't know if I wanted to leave the stability of it. But then I was like, this is just like a like once in a lifetime opportunity to hack on this like full time. I can't not do it. So after I figured out kind of some of the specifics about like my life and making that work, I basically, figured out, open the proposal, and once it officially passed, like, I don't know, I was just like, I'm not telling my boss nothing until like the 1 second after it passes, so I know that it's like legit. Not legit, but like that it was just all gonna, go off without a hitch. And so then I quit my job. I put in my 2 weeks. So they overlap for 2 weeks. And I basically like, some of my coworkers knew that I actually announced pilled 2 of my coworkers, to be honest, but like my boss didn't know anything. And I think he thought I was crazy. He's
going to sue you when you start like picking off his staff one by one.
Well, funny enough, one of the guys quit right after me to go work at Avalanche and got crypto pilled. But basically like he didn't take it well. He's more old school. He's been in like Silicon Valley for years. We have a startup. I was like engineer number 3 or something. We were a team of like 10. And of course it was his job to like convince me that we were going to go to the moon or whatever. And so it was awkward. He like pulled up a spreadsheet. Like I had to quit like 3 different times. I had to like re-break up with him. He like pulled up a spreadsheet and was like, this is how much you would lose, because of my equity. Like if we become this in this many years. It was awkward. And
did he keep texting you like at midnight saying you up, like that sort of thing? Or
yeah, I mean, it's fine.
I love you, baby. Like, come back.
I love you, baby. Yeah, I love you, crypto baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great when you have like 10 employees, 5 devs, and 1 leaves, and then the other one leaves the next week. But so there's no way I could do them both. My Nouns Works already takes up like more than a full-time job, and so I have no regrets from it. But yeah, it wasn't easy. Did not really take it well. Didn't understand it. Didn't understand how I was getting paid, or assumed it's all going to zero, which ironically I didn't take my payment in ETH. So even though I told him that, he didn't care. So it was awkward. He checked in on me on Christmas, on like fall break or something. He's like, you still there? And I was like, yeah, still here. And so I don't know how they're doing.
But you're doing great. So that's the important thing.
But we're doing great. Yes.
Nouns is doing great as a result. You know what that sound means? That sound means it's time for a POAP. Ryan Mack, why don't you hit us with the POAP?
Sure, I can do that, Toady. No problem. So POAP is Proof of Attendance Protocol. You can go to your app's marketplace and download the POAP app, or head over to poap.xyz. Once you open the app,
Ryan, you still there, bud?
You guys done? Let me know.
Oh, Woody, he's fighting back here. I don't know.
So you can open the POAP app, click the Mint button, then the secret word tab, and today's secret word is FOMO Bot Bad. All one word. FOMO BOTBAD.
FOMO Bot Bad CDT Good. What did we learn today?
I like it.
We learned.
Yeah, that bot's ruined our FOMO fund twice in a row now.
We're not happy about it. CDT, can you build a bot to battle the FOMO bot that's rugging us?
Absolutely not.
Nounish battle bot. Well, at least he's
drowning in
CDT has made it very clear he cannot do anything else but what he's already doing.
I gotta say, I really enjoy Grumpy.
Yeah.
Grumpy CDT is like my favorite. It was amazing, especially when you're
healthy
like
boundaries CDT. More like
healthy boundaries.
Yeah,
CDT.
it's fantastic.
No,
it's
when
hilarious.
You were,
we had
when
a
you
group
say you're
chat
on
the other
retainer,
day.
right?
Yeah, that does not mean unlimited work.
We had an amazing group chat the other day. And CDT got added, and it was like, I can't remember the number exactly, but the first and only time he chimed in on the whole conversation was like an amazing picture, obviously, with the main picture and a screenshot of how many unread messages. Like,
yeah, well, I was literally on vacation, my first one in who knows how long, but yeah, I came back to 304 messages from some group chat.
Yeah, it was so good.
Some group chat. What a guy.
Healthy boundaries CDT strikes again. I love
Look, you guys want Prop House to be good? This is what it takes. My whole attention.
Dude, we know you're just accumulating gifts over there. You're like quote unquote coding for hours a day, but we all know what you're doing, dude.
I'm gonna throw up.
Renaming a gift so that they're quick to find is also classified as coding.
That's right. It's coding in English.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of healthy boundaries, I think we got to wrap up here for all of our mental health.
We do. Not only our mental health, Woody, but also our soapbox.
Did we do a retweet picker today?
Yeah, we got a retweet picker up. Toshi's got that ready, and then we'll wrap up.
Yep. We have not forgotten about the retweet picker. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. CDT, I didn't quite get to say hey, but I came in super late. I always love interviews with you. I'm just a Noun Center maxi. So thank you so much for coming. Thanks for everyone who retweeted and tried to get as many people here as possible. I do have a winner here. Very
Boom.
Wow.
Mind toasted. Mind toasted.
Mind toasted. I like Mind toasted.
I do too.
He's an artist. He's a great artist.
Hey, speaking of retweets, go retweet my pinned tweet. We just put out a pod episode. So
we'll finish.
All right.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Actually pinned,
super excited about this one.
It's pinned above as well. It's the third pin.
Thanks.
Third pin from the right.
Did you happen to talk about the bot that Winter has written that is rugging FOMO?
No, because we recorded this days ago.
that,
I thought maybe talk about it prior to release.
No, but I can ping him about it.
Yeah, find out. Someone's rugging us. I don't know who it is, but we're gonna find out.
I put something in Nouns General, but I was.
Can you not see who settled it?
Yeah, we can, but sometimes it's just
it looks like the FOMO contract, but it looks to me like something was hitting the upvote button that wasn't active.
So someone's rugging via FOMO. That's sneaky.
Yeah, that's what I mean by they do it for free that
way.
Well, but that means we need to talk to NG then. All right. Well, CDT, thank you so much for coming on with us and going long. I let it go long because it was so interesting to hear all the different things that you're working on. And really, it's kind of like 3 interviews in one when we interview you because you have so many jobs.
Yeah,
that's
not
really fair.
Yeah.
Just for anyone listening, we do have some soapboxes coming up. Soapbox is our platform where any sub-DAO or group within Nouns can have their own space on our Noun Square to run their own Twitter spaces. We've got a little space. I think they're going to be talking about a little prop house in exactly 10 minutes, right in this exact spot. So if you want to listen in and learn more about the Little Prop House, that's happening at 2 p.m. EST. Little Sisters is doing another one of their interviews series at 6:30 p.m. EST. Is that right, Prof. Werder?
That is correct, with Riley Beans.
Riley Beans. All right.
Yeah.
Then we've got NARS with their jam session. Ben Body and Gami and some other awesome gnarly folks will be meeting at 8 p.m. EST, so about 6 hours from now on that one. And then tomorrow we've got International Nouns at 12 noon. What do you think, CDT, about our filling schedule? You can't even keep up with it, can you?
No, but it's a good thing you guys record them. And what's that YouTube link again that people can check out the recordings at?
I wish we had a vanity a vanity link, but we don't yet, and that's because we need 15 more subscribers. So if you're listening,
I'm in the same boat. No. I've been trying to hawk the podcast one, but it's tough because we have no content, so no one wants to subscribe. I don't blame them. Yeah, but yeah, fair. I'm like 25 away.
But
today's my 30th day, so today I could have gotten it. You have to wait 30 days to have the channel or whatever. But soon enough.
I'll tweet it and pin it, and if you guys can go and subscribe to us, that would be super, super awesome, because if we get 15 more, then we can just have youtube.com/the Noun Square, and that will be really awesome for us. So if you are not yet subscribed, and it's not just to help us either, it's really good. We have all the content on there. Not only do we have all of our own content on there, so all the Soapbox live streams, all of our daily live streams, and all of the video content that we're doing, but you can also see that we have all the other Nounish accounts there as well as a feed that you can subscribe to that has all of those in there too. So all the OTG, all of the Nouns in Rio, all of the Nouns news, basically every video that we can find that's Nounish is all there. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, and you can do that by hitting the pin link, the #1 pin link that I just pinned up there.
Yeah, it's all good. I talked to CDT pretty extensively, and we're going to build videos.wtf out. That's going to be a really robust video repository for nouns, and so he's got time for it. I think it's a good option to do for the Nounish ecosystem, right, CDT?
Yep.
Thought he was just going to come back on and just say.
Thanks for coming out, homie.
Well, I'm not trying to forget.
Sorry, Woody just played you out. Woody just put the hook around your neck and yanked you off the stage, CDT. This is who you brought into Nouns. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It was fun. Another one.